Hi, it's Bumbleberry, and welcome back to Seduce Me to the Demon Wars, and we're on, who are we? James. Now, we just gotten back, and if you guys haven't played this before, I've played through this, so, Diana's gonna keep us safe for now, and so I was trying to find Faye, because one of you wanted me to, when I was, exploring, and instead I found this cute little scene between Sarah and Diana, and basically she's like, "You're holding back. You can't be so nice to me because then I'll die." And he's like, "I can't hurt you because I love you." And she's like, "You waste your life."
You
and
waste
then...
your love on me.
It's not a waste to love such a wonderful woman.
Do you see this? Okay, anyway, she was justified. I don't know, protect him from her, whatever. This must be how she acted with something needed her. And then they have smoochies! I finally unlocked a new CG for these people. My goodness, I thought this would have been in Diana's route, like a little smoochy smooch session with Sarah. But they're just not even hiding it. Diana turned her body slightly to Sarah in her arms and ran her hand over his chest, making his uniform top vanish in a purple mist and leaving his chest bare. What was Diana doing?
I need energy.
Ooh.
From me, or do you wish me to?
Just give me your energy. I have no time to wait for you to get me a sweet flower.
I should probably leave. The way he held her painted his feelings like a picture, so openly gentle and loving. Did she love him, though? I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to see their moment go any further than the kiss. That is hilarious. Okay, so I'll go back and I'll try to find Faye. I think you turn left and then right, because Sarah was left and left, so let's find out. Okay, I turned left and then right, and now I'm finding Faye. The hall became longer and longer as I continued to walk. However, I suddenly stopped at the sound of a shout.
Beware my evil reign and bow to your new overlord!
What the? I turned towards where the shout was erupting from and saw a door ajar. As I peeked into the room the door led into, I stared at what I had saw. Hi, Faye. A floating creature was standing over the top of a table that held a map in miniature pieces, as if someone had set up a strategy board game. The creature was planted on top of a red marker, as if the marker was their mount.
I will rule the entire world, and no one can stop me, because I am the Demon Lord!
Alright, take it easy. As it switched to a different personality, the creature quickly jumped and floated over to a purple marker, striking an exaggeratedly sexy pose.
Oh no! I will stop you with my massive boobies and butt powers!
What?
I will rule this world, not you! And everyone will love me!
Is that supposed to be Diana? You mean me about my friend? Girl, I'll take you down. I watched as the creature bounced back and forth between pretending to be the Demon Lord and Diana, lost and intrigued as to how small and quick they were.
Your boobies cannot scare me, for I have a penis, and penises ward off fear!
I did hear that.
You may have a penis, but I have an army that practically worships my overly curvy and ridiculously perfect body. Ooh!
Oh, gross. She's so excited though, or he or they or whatever. I know this is supposed to be a trans character, I think so. I stifled a laugh. This was actually rather amusing to watch, seeing the creature imitate the Demon Lord and their own leader.
Then come here, and I will show you the true power of a Demon Lord. Soldiers, attack!
I stared as the creature suddenly formed multiple little miniature soldiers on opposite sides of the table, using magic to make them clash and smack against each other as if an invisible child was playing with them. There were some even small squeaky stuffed animals and glass figures smacking and crashing together. It was a chaotic little show.
Oh no! We're being overrun!
You have way too much energy.
Do not hold back! We'll beat him! Ah! Ah! The pain! Why? I see it! I see the light! Ah!
I was so happy during all of this. I couldn't stop the laughter from erupting from my stomach. I began to guffaw, amused by the little show I was witnessing.
Ah!
I'm sure she thinks I'm a total psycho. The creature in surprise puffed into a cloud of smoke before appearing and falling back over the side of the table in its regular size, or at least what I assumed to be their regular size. Whoa, I'm sorry. Are you okay?
Yep, I'm okay.
The creature managed to hop up and started floating again behind the table, giving me a thumbs up as if nothing was wrong. Their clothes were a bit disheveled, but they gave me a toothy grin.
Hiya!
Hi. Sorry for disturbing your,
Huh? Oh! My game! It's okay. I was just getting to the good part.
The good part. The creature nodded before leaning over the table and rearranging all of the figurines that still remained on it.
Yeah! When Diana kills the Demon Lord and takes over the world!
Oh, yeah. Oh, the way they put it made it seem like Diana was going to be an overlord. Was she really trying to take over the world? The creature looked at me and chuckled.
Oh, you don't know what's happening, huh? Well, we're all fighting the Demon Lord, and by we, I mean me and Diana and the others. But anyway, we're fighting the Demon Lord because he's a tyrant and we don't like tyrants. So we're gonna kill him and take over.
Sounds good. Good plan. They made it seem so simple and so joyous. You guys really gonna kill him and take over?
Huh? Duh! The Demon Lord is completely crazy! He's burnt down so many villages and destroyed so many forests! He's only causing us harm! That's why we have to stop him!
Okay, I believe you. The creature put the purple marker next to the red marker, glaring at both.
We have to kill him before he hurts anyone else!
With a flick of their wrist, they used the purple marker and knocked the red one over violently, making it skid across the table towards the edge. Just from the look on their face, they still seemed peeved about the Demon Lord. I would be too. Well, I already was. Yeah, you know, he only kidnapped us and on our wedding day. You all will win. The creature looked up at me before letting go of the marker and placing their hands behind their head with a grin.
You think so?
Yeah, why not? I nodded with a reassuring smile. They seemed confident enough to battle the Demon Lord, and if it was for the best, then it had to be done. The creature nodded back to me before yawning.
So, you're gonna marry a demon, huh?
What? I stared at them, unsure of where the change in topic came from. The creature laughed a bit.
Don't tell me you forgot!
I did not forget. No, it's not that. It's just, where did this come from?
Well, you are heading home tonight. This is my only chance to ask why.
What do you mean? Why?
Yeah, why a demon? Why not another human? I mean, I'm not against demons and humans getting together or whatever, but I was just curious, you know? There are like billions of humans on your world. Why a demon?
It's more the person than the species, or whatever I would say. I took a moment to think about the demon in question, whom I was marrying. His face made me smile, and the thought of being able to be with him again made my heart warm up in excitement. His presence remained in my heart, and I knew my answer. Because I love him.
You love him?
I know, I'm a weirdo. Yes, I do. The creature stared at me as if I had 3 heads. Was what I said wrong? No, it couldn't have been because it was true, and yet the creature continued to stare at me oddly. Demons don't fall in love, Mika. What?
Huh? Oh, nothing. It's just weird.
Thank you. What's weird?
Love. It's just weird, okay? But if it works for you, that works, I guess. It's not like I'm the one getting married.
No, not today anyway. I stared at the creature, unsure of what they meant. However, before I could question them, they yawned and stretched out.
Alright, I'm gonna steal some snacks. You should head back to your room or whatever so that Diana doesn't catch you snooping around. She doesn't like snooping. Or was it swooping?
Probably both. The creature shrugged as I nodded. It was probably for the best that I returned to my room. I knew my way back, so I left the room and returned. I left the room and returned to my room. Alright, I had food. Why not eat it? Yeah, go for it. Whatever. Diana. Oh yeah, here come the boys. Right? Here they are. Alright. 4 women dropped down from the tear and somehow managed to fall into the arms of the incubi behind James.
Whoa!
I hate all of you. I'm gonna ignore everything.
I gotcha!
Yeah, no, I've seen this before.
Whoa! Are you okay?
Why am I not allowed to skip it?
I gotcha! It's okay!
Mm-hmm.
Eric!
Love, I've got you!
Oh, it's like they just want me to be tortured. I stared wide-eyed. Their wives came too? Hey, James. I watched as the boys and the girls finally planted themselves on the ground before looking around. As James spotted me, however, he quickly rushed over.
Love!
Aww, Jamesy poo. James. To my surprise, Diana quickly moved out of the way, allowing me to approach and wrap his arms around me. The feeling of his body against mine sent a shiver up my spine. He was really here. I instantly wrapped my arms around his body, burying my face in his shoulder and taking in his scent. His head gently nuzzled into my shoulder as James curled over to bring my body close to him.
Thank God you're safe.
You came for me. I could barely believe it, but I did. Excellent writing. The scent of his cologne and the texture of his clothing let me know that I wasn't dreaming. He came to find me. Now the question was, how would we both leave? Ooh, he looks grumpy. Grumplepuss James is on the loose. James gently loosened his embrace and looked at Diana, who was standing by our side and watching. I couldn't see his expression, but Diana stared wide-eyed, almost in fear of James. Why? As James began to speak, I felt some sort of violent power change in the room. While Diana held dominance before the incubi had arrived, it was practically ripped from her as James claimed me once again in his arms.
Care to explain why my bride is here, Diana?
Your father.
I looked up at James to see him staring Diana down, as if he didn't believe her explanation. I'm surprised Diana keeps her cool during all of this. I would be like, I don't want to be hostess. Like, take your stupid human bride that you rejected me for. Tighten the hug. I tightened my hug around his chest, earning a soft squeeze from him in return, but he continued to glare at Diana.
And why have you not sent her back?
Again, your father.
I watched as James' eyes closed further, almost hiding his whiskey brown irises in an unimpressed and unconvinced glare.
As much as I despise my father, why do I have a hard time believing that?
Ooh, there's the spirit guide. Sarah was like, back off. He seemed unfazed by James's glare and almost felt like he was challenging him from the power play thrashing in the air. It was like James and Diana were opposing alphas and the guard was the protective mate.
Believe what you will. My lady was about to send her back before you came.
James looked to the guard and visibly sized him up. The guard glared, tightening his grip on his spear, but remained beside his mistress. As James looked back to Diana, his hold on me tightened.
Go on.
Diana sighed softly and placed a hand on the guard's shoulder, looking at him, but the guard refused to turn himself or his spear away from me and James.
He cast a curse on your bride-to-be, barring her from leaving this world alive.
A curse?
A curse? He gave me a nice curse.
She can't leave this world unless she dies, or until we kill the Demon Lord.
Yay! I could feel James's arms tense around me. For some reason, the look in his eyes changed from anger to almost hopefulness. Was he hoping that we would be able to leave? Well, I hope so.
Now, I must ask that you recognize whose kindness you are testing.
Fair enough.
Settle.
Everybody's grumpy still. Diana tightened her hand on her guard's shoulder, almost digging her nails into his jacket. However, her eyes remained on James, now submissive to his dominant stare on her.
We have been fighting him consistently and have successfully pinned him into a corner. Our next attack will be on the Demon Lord's castle, and it will be the final battle.
Succubus, if I may...
No, you may not.
Ooh, I don't think I've ever seen him be interrupting before. The lanky man stared wide-eyed at Diana, but she ignored him. Instead, she continued to stare up at James, unfazed at her harsh tone towards her companion. I think that guy's Shadow or something. James eventually released me from his embrace and faced Diana and her guard, standing tall and almost looking down his nose at them.
And when do you plan to attack him?
With a nasty snarl, the larger demon male stepped forward and glared hard at James. I felt my body tense and reflex, but James continued to stand tall.
Why the fuck should we tell you?
1 week's time.
Everyone in the room shot their heads towards Diana, mostly in shock or surprise.
What? 1 week?
Nobody discussed this with each other? I looked at Diana, watching her, unable to turn away from James's gaze. She wasn't in trance, but it seems like she wasn't able to pull away from the gaze battle between them out of fear. He didn't look that mean,
Where is
though.
this number coming from, Succubus?
We need to fully prepare.
Yeah, we're gonna attack the stuff. Let's do a trap instead of killing someone. That seems nicer. What's not fair?
I will not take untrained and unarmed beings into a...
Is this really what we should do? There. It's in between. I don't understand why they're like, oh, but the wife didn't say this last time. I've been through this 3 times. What could you possibly have to say that I haven't seen before? This is the only way I could go home is by fighting. Defeated, Diana sighed and rubbed her temples.
Very well.
Ha! We get to fight. What's cool?
Wow, that
I don't know. I blushed getting used to the idea of the outfit. Oh yeah, I'm wearing a corset. James, however, smiled down at me and kissed over my forehead.
We'll save the wedding dress for when we return.
Aw, he's so sweet. Right.
Faye, Rabbit, you both should finish your preparations and head over to the Demon Lord's castle for the spell.
Yeah, we should. Now I was worried that my nightmare was starting again. I began to feel nervous, nauseous even. There were so many things wrong about this, and there were even more things that could go wrong with this plan. Who knew if this was really going to be the final battle? Yeah, especially because, like, Diana has died, I've died, everybody has died, pretty much, in this game. So we'll see what happens. James most likely felt the nervousness in my hand as he gave it a gentle squeeze, catching my attention and breaking my thoughts.
Are you okay?
I'm great. Super. Yeah, sure, I'm fine. I lied to him. I didn't want him to be worried about me when he had a war to help fight. I was going to have to take care of myself. James stared at me for a moment, trying to read me. He was good at finding lies, so I kept up my act. James nodded, giving into my mask, and continued on hand in hand with me. Am I supposed to say no? Oh no, I can't say no. Unless I go all
We'll get through this.
Well, whatever.
Just a week before we head home.
Well, he'll probably die now because I said I was fine and I wasn't really. Whatever. But you know what? I was fine. They gave me soup. It had something in it. Potatoes. Let's stay the night. All right. We're gonna go home and get married. James, however, gently nudged me, catching my attention and breaking me from my thoughts.
Did you know that time works differently between the human and demon worlds?
I did know that. I could tell that he was trying to calm me down, something else to keep my mind on. I became curious as to what he meant. Time works different?
Indeed. In this world, time moves slower. What would take a day to grow in the human world would take 5 days here.
Oh. So we have lots of time before we go back. I was astonished. Time was that different? I began to wonder how long had I been gone from the human world if that was the case. How long has this war been going on because Diana's been fighting it for all time? As if James read my mind, he smiled at me.
You were gone for about 5 hours before we found you.
5 hours? I had been in the demon world for an entire day, but back home I hadn't been gone that long. It made no sense at all, but James continued to speak as I stared in shock.
When you didn't arrive at the hall, we sent everyone home and used our powers to make sure no one would be suspicious. Once everyone left, we tracked you down and came here to find you.
I nodded in reply, taking in the explanation. It was crazy to think about it, but I guess it made sense. The rules of time don't apply here. All right, James examined the room carefully. He walked around the room, observing each bit of decor with a curious care.
So this is Lilith Castle.
I raised an eyebrow. The place had a name? Lilith Castle? James nodded, walking over to the tapestry on the wall and examining it as he explained.
This castle was the home of the first succubus, Lilith. Demons of Lilith like myself and my brothers come from one of thousands of branches of her bloodline, but we're not pure-blooded incubi. Diana, however, is a pure-blooded succubus, directly descended from Lilith herself.
Oh, that's cool. I guess. I don't know. My dream flashed before my eyes, reminding me of Diana's words towards James. I nodded in understanding as he continued with a small smile.
That's why her family was able to convince the Demon Lord to make her my betrothed. They were extremely powerful and could easily charm others, being of pure Lilith blood.
And yet you were still Alpha, James. Way to go. I could only imagine it. Remembering how Diana controlled an entire school like it was easy for her sent a small shiver down my spine. If she was that powerful, then how powerful was she now after so long? James chuckled a bit, breaking my thoughts.
Of course, you know what happened after that.
I just swayed you with my charms. James finally walked over and sat beside me, softly wrapping an arm around my waist and bringing me close to him. I nuzzled his shoulder, enjoying the warmth of his body. I remembered clearly what happened. James chose me, after all, and I chose him. We loved each other and defied Diana's attempts to take him away because of it. I couldn't have been more proud of myself in those moments in time. James leaned down a bit and whispered in my ear, making me shiver slightly in his arms.
Besides, the woman I'm engaged to now is more amazing than any princess in all of the 5 worlds.
Oh, James, you're so sweet. I blushed at his words, feeling my heart skip a beat. James really did love me. Kiss him. Mwah. He was so sweet and caring. I felt blessed by being able to be with him, both as his fiancé and physically in the same world. My worries began to slowly break apart and melt in my chest as I looked up at him and leaned in, capturing his lips with my own. And he's so happy too. He's like, yes, 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 I love kisses. James seemed surprised for a moment before he let a soft groan escape his lips and kissed me back. He gently pressed a hand on the back of my head, keeping me close as we kissed each other lovingly. It was almost orgasmic the way his lips moved against mine. As we slowly pulled away from each other, letting our breaths intermingle in the space between us, James smiled. I became lost in his whiskey brown eyes, wanting so much to forever be entranced by them.
Come, let's get some sleep. We have a lot to do tomorrow.
Well, fine, James. I nodded and both of us settled into the bed, drifting to sleep as our heads hit the pillows. I felt at peace knowing that James was by my side. But my peace didn't last. No, I don't know what you're saying. What the... I felt the void around me shift and brighten to a blinding white, causing me to shut my eyes. Feathers gently brushed against my skin, and I lurched and squirmed away from them instinctively. What was happening to me? You're trying to remove my memory? Or his? Something about don't do it here? I don't know. Diana's voice echoed through the air, surprising me and causing me to look around. As I turned my head to look behind me, a pair of arms wrapped themselves around me and held me close. What?
Don't struggle.
Oh, okay, I won't. No problem. Sero. Yeah, no problem. Sero's got this under control. Yeah. Yeah. I became lost in what was happening. Nothing was making sense, but I knew that they were speaking in some form of Latin. The voices that weren't Diana and Sero, however, struck fear into my core with each word that they spoke. Sero, end this! I love how she's no longer speaking Latin. I wonder... Because I always thought that, like, the Latin used in this game was just for the spells. Like, do demons all speak English secretly? I don't know. Now I'm wondering these things. On Diana's command, Sero cast some sort of spell, causing his body and mind to become enveloped in gold light. I felt every nerve in my body heat up almost uncomfortably. He was making me squirm. He tightened his hold on me and continued casting his spell. At last, the world around me suddenly went dark, and I found myself shooting up in bed, awake. Ugh.
Love?
Yes. I looked to my side to see James, shaken awake by my sudden outburst. His eyes were glossed over from exhaustion, but he continued to watch me with worry. This was the second time I woke him up like this.
Why are angels hunting you?
What? Ooh, nobody looks very happy over here. They're all like, we might cut you. That's okay. James and I suddenly shot our heads towards the sound of Diana's voice, seeing her and Sero by the door. She had her arms crossed and a look of pure irritation on her face as she awaited my answer. However, I didn't know what to say. Angels were hunting me? I stared at Diana, confused as to what she meant. James sat up at last, matching her expression with irritation of his own. He's like, not impressed.
What are you talking about?
I wasn't speaking to you, James.
Raystral. That's a cute little touch, though, that she almost called him by his demon name. My eyes widened at the slip. Did she almost say James's real name? Diana growled and clicked her teeth before looking to me again, glaring harder.
Your dream almost allowed them to erase your memories.
My body chilled at the thought. What? Why would they even want to? I was confused and fearful of what was going on. Why were they after me? James wrapped his arms around me, seeing me visibly shaken at Diana's words.
Explain, Diana.
Ask your fiancée why she's targeted by them. Don't ask me. I want to know as well.
Man, you're so sassy. I don't know. I truly didn't know. What could I say? This was the first I had heard of angels hunting me. The dream was not a dream I'd ever experienced before.
Angels don't target just anyone. They have to have a reason for hunting people down to erase their memories.
Well, someone made a bargain.
Especially when their target is in the demon world.
I held my head and shook it, trying to figure it out. Did I do something wrong? What did I do to incur the wrath of angels? Diana sighed and rubbed her temple.
Well, they've been expelled from the castle for now. For how long? Who knows? However, we need to figure out why they are trying to take your memories away.
Looking up at last at Diana, I could tell that this was a serious situation. Sero looked at the floor, exhausted from casting the spell to expel them himself. That was kind of funny to say. Diana growled beneath her teeth as she looked to the wall.
Another problem. Great. Can this war be any more irritating?
Yeah, that's what war is. Irritating. Also traumatizing. I felt myself curl up in a bit at Diana's irritation. I was already a problem that she was going to help solve, but now there was a second problem on top of that? Yeah, no problem. Just some angels she has to deal with. James hugged me gently against his chest comfortingly, feeling me shirk back away from Diana.
Is that all?
From the tone of James's voice, he wanted Diana to leave immediately. Diana looked over and stared at James, a flash of slight fear in her eyes before her face hardened to a cold glare.
No. Whatever you are doing to try and make me fear you needs to stop.
I don't know what you are talking about.
Say what you will, but I can recognize fear enthrallment anywhere.
Ooh.
Thank your father for that.
Oh. James, are you trying to be a shady mixin? I looked at James, seeing him glare a little harder at Diana, while Diana simply glared back. When my eyes trailed to Sarah, I could see a form of jealousy burn in his gaze at my fiancé. What was happening? And James, what happened to your six-pack? You just got a little bit of shading there. James?
Yes, love?
Oh, excuse you. Diana turned on her heel towards Sarah, now furious for some reason. Sarah, seeing his mistress turn, quickly went with her.
Sleep. We have work to do tomorrow.
Sarah always opens the door for her. He's such a classy guy. Diana left with Sarah right behind her, closing the door. James's embrace finally relaxed around me and pulled me close. What was that about?
I don't know.
Okay. Truly? No. Okay. James, however, still stared at me with concern written all over his expression.
But was Diana right? Are angels after you?
I don't know. I just had a dream that was full of light and feathers, and a look of fear ran across James's face for a moment before he shook his head and returned his calculated but worried expression. Was Diana correct? Was it an angel attack and not just some random dream? My memories recalled when I was captured. The voices that appeared in my room before the imps came sounded so similar to the ones in my dream. Had they been angels as well? This was crazy. What was going on? First I'm cursed, then I'm hunted? This was unbelievable in every sense of the word. Nothing made sense, and this entire situation was confusing. Why do angels want me? Because they want James, obviously, so they're going to erase my memories, then erase his memories, and then they're going to be like, yo, you're the new demon lord. Because that's apparently the new, top title to get, even though he doesn't want it. He likes being the head CEO of the Anderson Toy Company. You can either, rule an entire nation and world, which is a whole lot of trouble, or you can rule a toy factory, which is still annoying, but you get, stuffed animals after it. Or stuffed animals. Not the scary kind that Matthew does, either. James shook his head and kissed my forehead.
Well, they're gone now. Let's get some more sleep.
Sounds good. I nodded, wrapping my arms around James and lying back with him. He slowly began to pet my hair, most likely waiting for me to sleep first before he did. Slowly, I closed my eyes and let the darkness of sleep take me over once again. This time there was no rocky dreams. I simply floated in the darkness until I naturally woke up, still in James's arms. I looked up at James' sleeping face, so peaceful and almost happy. His arms around my form made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, causing me to cuddle closer to his body. Unconsciously, James pulled me closer to him, wrapping his arms tighter around me. I could tell he was awake, however. His breathing wasn't slow like it usually was when he slept. James? No response. He was pretending, which made me giggle a bit. Little things like this took my mind off the world and made me forget my troubles, whatever they were. I guess that was the blessing of being in love, but I feel like he wouldn't be pretending when you're in a life or death situation. I would probably panic. Although, you guys know me, Masquerade, my boyfriend, from a couple of my videos, and he's just so darn cute when he's asleep. Although sometimes he snores. I smiled and kissed James's cheek, making his smile grow a bit more. I knew it. I know you're awake.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I know everything. I laughed and playfully smacked his upper arm, making him laugh as well and open his eyes to look at me with a loving but tired gaze. I became once again lost in his eyes as he smiled at me.
Good morning. Did you sleep better?
I nodded, knowing he would be happy to hear it. I was more than happy to say it before snuggling into his arms, nuzzling his chest. Diana's probably protecting me on top of everything else. What about you? Did you sleep well? James nodded and ran his hand through my hair, petting me lovingly.
I did. All I did was dream of you.
Aw, James. A soft blush formed on my cheeks before I looked up at him, seeing him smile down at me.
It's the truth. Would you like to hear?
Yes. Tell me all the details. I felt myself nod before I even tried to think about the question. James smirked a bit before wrapping his arms fully around me and leaning in to whisper in my ear.
I dreamt that we were on a private island, basking in the sand beneath the sun. The wind was perfect, and you looked absolutely stunning in your swimsuit.
I began to imagine it myself. This is kind of funny because of Destiny Voyage is the other thing I was playing. Causing the blush on my face to intensify. As James tightened his hug around me, my body began to heat up on its own from the warmth his body gave me.
Then you pulled me into a kiss, one that I couldn't help but melt into. You kept teasing me until I pinned you down against the sand, and I made you beg for me to kiss you.
James peppered kisses along my neck, making my body shiver at both the image of his dream and the feeling of his lips upon my skin. I let out a silent but shaky sigh as James nuzzled my head, opening his mouth to say more. Alas, our moment was broken by a loud knock on our door.
Oi! Quit fucking in there! You got food for— Go! Little shit!
Oh, I don't want to imagine that, dude.
We do have food, though. May we come in?
Oh, I kind of love everything about that. That was amazing. James and I let out a simultaneous sigh. So much for enjoying the moment. This was the misfortune of not being alone. I knew that we would eventually have to have our alone time together, but for now a blush of embarrassment ran across my cheeks in response to Sam's allegation. He should know better what our lovemaking sounds like. I mean, if they lived with us for so long. Plus, couldn't he just ask, like, Damien, like, hey, what are they doing in there? At least Matthew prevented anything gross from happening. And may I just say that Sam and Matthew's voice acting is amazing, and Irene was fine, but you guys know how I feel about the wives, so not too many compliments for them. James smiled and kissed my forehead before lifting his head and sitting up.
Come on in, we just got up.
I sat up as well, right as the door opened to the hallway, revealing James's brothers and their wives with plates of food. Eric and Irene each carried 2 plates and handed the extras to me and James.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Irene.
My pleasure.
On the plate was food I recognized. Bread, cheese, fruit, and some sort of jerky. I assumed it was safe and something I could stomach, although in real life I'd be like, why is this jerky here? Although it does sound delicious, all those combos. James placed his plate on his lap before looking at the group.
So, training starts today.
Woohoo!
Finally! I get to kick some ass.
You do that every day.
You kick ass anyway, you dork.
I knew it. Sam blushed and rubbed his neck before stuffing his face with food, not wanting to say any more. Matthew laughed and nodded.
We know what you mean, dude. We can finally kick that old man's ass.
Yeah. I didn't know you knew that word.
Not to be the skeptical brother here, but is it possible to become stronger than him in just a week? It's been a while since we've had any encounter involving combat after all.
We'll kill him.
Whoa, Damien. You took it to a dark place, man. Everyone looked to Damien, seeing his stern and cold expression. I frowned, knowing why Damien was so angered at the Demon Lord. As the bastard son, Damien had been left for dead, and only survived thanks to his brothers. Damien had more reason than most to hold a grudge against the Demon Lord. Well, probably Diana has an also large reason. James, however, cleared his throat and looked to Eric.
We won't be fighting him alone. This rebellion will help us and allow us to focus our energy on defeating him.
I've been waiting years to kick his arrogant brute face in.
I think we all have a grudge against him, Sam.
We got this.
We got this, Matthew.
I would not be so sure.
Oh, want to crash our breakfast party, Sarah?
Oh, Sarah, where is...
My mistress had a rough night. She's still recovering from it.
She had to battle angels. Wah! I grimaced, knowing that the reason she had a rough night was because of me. Sarah, however, seemed to be re-energized and somewhat bright-eyed. He probably got some energy. His eyes landed on James and glared hard, causing my fiancé to straighten up a bit.
None of you know what has happened these past 10 years. None of you know of the Demon Lord's true strength.
Tell us, Sarah.
Would you care to enlighten us?
Tell us the tale. At last, Sarah pushed off the doorway and walked further into the room, closing the door behind him. He looked to each brother, examining each man before settling his gaze on James again.
The Demon Lord is a madman.
I know.
You don't need to tell us that.
No. He was mad before, but he lost his mind completely when my mistress formed the rebellion against him. He's killed thousands by his own hand alone out of pure rage.
That's rude. Sarah's grip on his spear tightened as something resurfaced in his thoughts, reflected in his glare.
Too many times has my lady faced off against him and almost lost her life in exchange.
Sarah's cold stare re-hardened itself itself on his face as he shook away the thought, and he looked to Damien, who had a stony expression to match.
What makes you think that you, a band of humanized demons, have any chance of destroying him on your own?
Because I'm fabulous? The brothers seemed to glare in unison at Sero, as did the wives. I, however, saw his point. The boys had been in the human world for over 2 years. They had missed so much here and become accustomed to human life. I had only been here a day, and I knew that this world was much more ruthless than the human one. Sam stood and marched towards Sero, standing almost nose to nose with the guard and giving him a terrifying glare.
What makes you think we can't, prick?
Ooh.
I have seen with my own eyes what the Demon Lord can do in battle.
We had to live with that sack of shit for almost 100 years as his sons. We know more than you ever will.
Sam, that's enough.
No, it's not.
Sam and Sero continued to glare daggers into each other's souls, anger burning in their eyes without any sign of retreat.
We had to live with the fact that our dad burnt down villages, enslaved people, and stole hundreds of lives day after day, ending his night fucking a woman who was chained to a goddamn bed. What the fuck makes you think that we don't know anything about him?
Yeah, Sero. Yeah, Sam. Way to reveal some character development. That's what I'm waiting for in this game. Yeah. Damien seemed to flinch at Sam's words. Oh, 'cause his mom. But his angered face remained at Sero as Sam had their stare down. Sero remained unfazed.
Like I said, he has completely lost his mind. If he was a monster before, he is Satan himself now. He does more than slaughter and burn villages. He takes prisoners and paints the ground with their blood while howling into the sky. He leads legions of imp demons who do nothing but make sure their victims suffer in agony before making them beg for death. He now takes pleasure not in a bed, but in the screams of millions.
In an act of defiance, Sero straightened his back and almost towered over Sam, gritting his teeth.
If anything, the reason he's as mad as he is now is because you all decided to run. So the blame for this war rests on all your shoulders.
I'm pretty sure the Demon Lord is the blame. Ooh, yeah. Instantly, Sam's fist met Sero's jaw and forced him to back towards the door. Sero slammed into the door and gripped his hand over his mouth, rubbing it in pain.
Sam!
Sam!
Fuck you! Do not blame this fucking war on us!
Yeah. Sero wiped his lips of fresh blood that began dripping from his mouth and glared, as if the punch wasn't painful as it looked.
Arrogant mutt! The call of the human world was too tempting for you to ignore. You have forgotten about duty and responsibility.
We left because we were tired of the lives we had.
You left the world and everyone in it to become the victim of a madman and a world war. None of you understand what we have even sacrificed to stay alive.
No, we don't. And we never will.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, Sero. Although it wasn't me. I was in the human world the whole time. Can't blame me. Kind of. Although I kind of convinced all of them to stay and didn't kick them out, so... I mean, you can play this game... the blame game all you want, Sero. But the truth is, the Demon Lord is a messed up guy. And the world is a messed up place, and sometimes that happens. James finally stood from the bed and placed a hand on Sam's shoulder, forcing him to step back. As Sam rejoined Carrie, who wrapped her arms around him in comfort, James looked to Sero.
But you cannot blame us for wanting to be free.
Sero began to laugh. It was a painful laugh, but one full of anger.
You have no right to defend yourself, eldest son. Because of you specifically, my mistress's entire world was destroyed.
What? I stared wide-eyed at Sero. This was about their betrothal, but James did what was best for him. He and I didn't care about the consequences of our love, but Sero's painful words made me shake. Sero's eyes began to burn once again in jealousy at James and rage at his words. What jealousy? Oh, because you were engaged to Diana? Dude, he literally ditched her. I mean, I know you're like half offended, but you were in love with her anyway. You didn't want her to get married to him.
Because of you, the only people she had in this world, her family was brutally murdered in the most sadistic of ways. The imps painted the walls of the castle nursery in the king and queen's blood, while her unborn baby sister was ripped from the queen's womb and nailed to the wall like a hunting trophy.
That's gross. I felt sick to my stomach just imagining it, despite not wanting to in the first place. The imagery was too much, but Sero continued without mercy.
Asayer had to watch her kingdom burn before her eyes and listen to the screams of her people when she returned from the human world after hunting you all down. It was only after the siege when she saw the fate of her own family.
What does that even mean? Oh no. Oh no. So that would not be good to come home to. So everyone was angry, and James is afraid.
Yet you all claim innocence.
You all know nothing of innocence! Enough said!
Thank you, Diana. Tame your man. I mean, I'm sorry, what? Everyone shot their heads towards Diana's voice to see her standing in the corner of the room, shrouded by a shadow. However, I could faintly see tears running down Diana's cheeks, despite the terrifying anger on her face towards Sarah. Ooh, puppy's been chastised.
You will not speak of the past again, Sarah. Understood?
Yes, my lady.
Diana finally stepped away from the corner and stood in front of Sarah and across from James, uncaring towards the rogue tears streaming down her face.
What's done is done. We can't ever change the past, no matter how desperately we try. What matters now is preparing for the Demon Lord and the final battle.
James nodded. It was a sour note to end on, but Diana's words were the truth. We couldn't linger on pointing fingers and having doubts now. Diana ran a hand through her hair and looked around the room, pressing her lips into a fine line.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Obviously. Everyone nodded in agreement to Diana's statement. While we weren't in battle ready, okay, so we're gonna learn. What would the others teach me? I choose Faye, because you guys asked me to. Although, I don't know how you want me to do it. Diana raised an eyebrow but nodded. Faye was a wild card, so who knew what they would teach me? Still, my curiosity was getting the better of me, and I knew it. I'd try it. So, next time we'll go into more of the training and all the joyousness. Hopefully this episode wasn't too much of a downer. Man, there was a lot of battling for alpha status in this one. So James was like versus Sarah, and Sarah was versus Sam, and James was versus Diana, and Diana was versus Sarah, although Sarah would totally give up to her like every single second. Anyway, it was fun to see Sam punch things, and I hope I get to see it again. Alright, I'm kind of sad that his route is over. It was kind of fun, although I hated the ending. Anyway, we are talking about James, who is very nice and has weird dreams about us on a yacht, for whatever reason, or luxury cruise. Hopefully your New Year is amazing. Tell me about your life, tell me about things, or just talk about, how awesome James is to be sleeping with his glasses on in all the images. Anyway, have a great day and stay sweet. Bye.